Hello and welcome to Arnie's Short Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. I'm going to try and upload a new story each day. The Horrors of Hamstead Forest. The Isle of Wight had its fair share of haunted places, but none were whispered about, in hushed tones as much as Hamstead Forest. The locals refused to enter after sundown, and those foolish enough to wander in rarely emerged and changed if they emerged at all. Holly Arnold wasn't one to believe in ghost stories. She was a journalist, and a skeptical one at that. But when she uncovered old records detailing a massacre in Hamstead Forest centuries ago, an entire village wiped out overnight, her curiosity burned hotter than her fear. Armed with a flashlight, a notebook, and a recorder, she set out into the trees just as the last light of day bled from the horizon. The forest swallowed her whole. Towering oaks loomed over her like silent sentinels, their gnarled roots clawing at the earth. The deeper she went, the heavier the air became, thick with the scent of damp moss and something metallic, something disturbingly familiar. Blood. Her breath hitched as the temperature plummeted. Mist slithered between the trees, twisting into unnatural shapes. A whisper brushed her ear, though the wind was still. She spun, her flashlight casting erratic beams over the undergrowth. Nothing. Only the unbroken silence of the woods. Then she saw them. Figures, barely discernible in the gloom, flickered in and out of existence. Some clutched their throats as if choking, others staggered with unseen wounds. A woman in a tattered gown reached out to Holly, her face twisted in agony, her mouth forming words that never came. Holly's pulse pounded in her skull. Logic warred with terror. These weren't ghosts in the traditional sense, no, this was something worse. This was a memory carved into the very fabric of the forest, replaying itself in an endless loop of suffering. A scream split the night. Holly jerked her flashlight toward the sound. A man in medieval garb writhed on the ground, his chest torn open by some invisible force. His eyes wide, pleading, locked onto hers. And then, in a blink, he was gone. A gust of wind howled through the trees, carrying with it the echo of panicked voices, or steel clashing, of the final, pitiful gasps of the dying. Holly staggered back. She needed to leave. Now. She turned, but the path was gone. The trees had shifted, closing in around her like a trap. The whispers grew louder, merging into a chorus of despair. A hand cold as the grave brushed her shoulder. Holly ran. Blindly. Desperately. The forest blurred around her, the screams of the past bleeding into her present. The air grew thicker, pressing against her lungs. A shadow loomed ahead, a figure in black, face obscured by a hood. It raised an arm, pointing straight at her. And then she was falling. Darkness swallowed her whole. When she awoke, she was outside the forest, sprawled in the damp grass. The sky had lightened with the first hints of dawn. Her notebook lay beside her, its pages filled with frenzied, near unreadable scribbles, accounts of the massacre, names of the dead, descriptions of their final moments. She had written none of it. The villagers found her hours later, staring into the tree line, her face pale as death. "You went in, didn't you?" an old woman murmured, shaking her head. "Now you've seen what they don't let us forget." Holly never spoke of that night. She never wrote the article. But Hamstead Forest had marked her as it had marked so many before. And it was waiting. Days passed, but Holly couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed her out of the woods. Shadows stretched longer than they should. Whispers called at the edges of her hearing, vanishing when she turned. At night, her dreams became prisons of memory, reliving the massacre over and over, feeling the cold grip of spectral hands, the agony of wounds not her own. Then the knocking began. At first it was gentle. A soft tapping on her window at night, though she lived on the second floor. Then it grew insistent, rhythmic, like desperate fingers drumming against the glass. One night she awoke to find the window open, cold air slithering into her room. She slammed it shut, but the whispers only grew bolder. One evening, as she sat reviewing her notes, her television flickered to life. Static hissed, and then voices. Not voices, but sobs, screams, the clang of steel. Her breath hitched as a blurry image formed, a shadowed figure watching from the depths of Hamstead Forest. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Why did you leave us? Holly's blood turned to ice. She deleted the message, switched off the TV, locked every door and window. But the whispers did not stop. That night she dreamed of the woman in the tattered gown. This time the silent lips moved. This time she understood the words, "You were chosen." Holly awoke with a scream, her breath ragged, her room suffocatingly dark. The air smelled of damp moss and something metallic. Blood. And just beyond the window, framed in the glow of the street lamp, stood a figure cloaked in shadow, watching, waiting. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to like, and even better, like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and I hope you have had or have a great day.